everyone, and welcome to Go Watch a Movie, episode 77. I'm Kelvin.
And I'm Robert.
The conversation continues today as you join us as we talk about us. And we have a very special guest today during the trailer segment, Michael Rosenbaum, a.k.a. the best Lex in town. If you want to argue about that, fight me. But first, we're going to get into a little bit of entertainment news. So, sir, movies that don't need to be rebooted. Mm-hmm. The Craft is being rebooted.
Why? There's a thing people say. What's that? Oh my God, I can't remember the TV show. The TV show with the three witches. People said that was kind of like it's what's it called?
Charmed.
Yeah, people said that was like its spiritual successor. So I think it's already been done. I don't think we need to do it again.
No,
I think the movie was perfect. It doesn't need to be touched. It's like Back to the Future to me. There's no way you can redo or reboot or anything that and make me not want to watch it as much as the original.
Exactly. Yeah, and they just signed on Zoe Lister-Jones, who's been in a couple stuff and directed a couple things, but it's like more power to you. I'm glad you're working, but hot damn, leave well enough alone.
Even the flaws in that I find charming, like the main actress's hair, because like she had to either wear a wig or something because something was going on with her hair.
Oh,
there's just so many imperfections in it, but still, even with those imperfections, it's still a perfect movie to me.
Yes,
such a good movie. Don't mess with it. Stop.
Do you think it feels dated? Have you watched it recently? Or?
Yeah, I have. It does not feel dated to me. It still feels, well, I'm old though, so everything seems fresh from even 30 years ago. But not that it was that old, but even 30 years ago. I live in the 90s. It still seems fresh to me. It's weird. But yeah, I guess that's just what happens when you get old.
Yes. Yeah.
I remember cassette tapes.
What's a Betamax? This isn't movie news, but it bears mentioning. Apple unveils its Apple TV Plus streaming service. Yet another dog in the fight.
Bound to happen.
I mean, it looks cool. Like there's some shows on there that look decent. Steven Spielberg, I guess that's how we can tie it into movies. Steven Spielberg, who just ranted and raved, who I love, but he ranted and raved about Netflix not being into the Oscars, and here he goes, putting a series, it is a TV series, onto another streaming service. So he got a little hot water for that. It's different, and he's Steven Spielberg. He can do and say what he wants. Nobody's gonna really, Right. You're not working this time again.
He's rich. He doesn't care. He can go home and drink his, $1,000 bottle of wine. He doesn't care what people say.
1,000? That seems a little low. Yeah, but I don't know. This is the future of TV.
Times are changing. I'm slowly, even though I'm fighting it, starting to realize it. I mean, I was slow to get on the Netflix. I was like, that's not going to last. And now I'm watching it all the time. So it's times are changing. We just need to go ahead and go with the flow.
It's all about the content. If the movies are good, then hey, more power to you. Yep. But I don't want that theater feeling to go away, Like I said.
Yeah, very, very true. The only thing I don't like about times changing is that it seems you have to be on team like Netflix, or you have to be on team soon to be Apple. You can't just watch everything on one.
Yeah, or Disney Plus, or DC Universe, or Hulu, or
there's too many. Eventually, it's got to come together for it to work. I think.
Which I think sorry.
It's got to come together eventually. Otherwise, people are just going to get frustrated and turned off because no one's going to be able to subscribe to everything.
No. Disney's gonna come the closest because they're buying up everything, and with that Fox deal that just passed, they own a lot. Everybody only mentions Marvel normally because it's the biggest thing right now, but they own Aliens, they own freaking Die Hard, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So like all of that's going to be under that one umbrella of Disney Plus. They can stream it and, throw it out there how they want. But who knows? We'll see. And I'll lastly end this with some DC news, since we have a past DC player joining us today. Snyder, old Zack Snyder of Batman v Superman, Justice League, revealed some plans of what he had planned for the DC universe before it got cut up and turned into what we now saw, which you said was kind of growing on you, the Batman v Superman after but what he said and what he wanted sounds amazing. And I wish they would have let him go, off the chain, because holy cow. So that nightmare sequence that Batman has, that's where he wanted everything to end up. Maybe Justice League or after Justice League. Darkseid's taken over Earth. Only a few members of the Justice League survived. One big thing, Darkseid kills Lois Lane. And that makes Superman succumb to the anti-life equation. So now he's kind of working for, Darkseid-ish. And the surviving members of the Justice League, Batman, he said Flash, and a broken cyborg are all working to fix everything. Flash has to go back and warn Bruce and save things. And so that sounds awesome. Like I wish they would have let him go with that, because he also talked about the whole Martha thing, but it is as silly as it turned out. Like he said, him and the co-writer were in a room, and he's like, his co-writer said, "Hey, both of their names are Martha. We can have Superman show some or Batman see humanity in Superman that way." And they were like, "Yeah, that's a good idea."
Yeah, okay. Doesn't always work out the way you think it is, but
yeah,
written on paper and then translated, just whatever.
And of course, they cast a poopy Lex, because we have the real Lex here with us.
Oh yeah, that Lex, I tell you.
Do you have?
He does great. I do not have a favorite Lex, but he does. What's your brother's name? Is Eisenhower?
Yeah,
something.
Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah. Eisenberg. Okay, he does a decent job in some of his movies, but it's just in this movie, I just don't think he's a Lex to me.
Yeah, we had a conversation about him, how he has a niche that the way he acts.
He does do really good and stuff, but
yeah, it doesn't work with Lex.
No, not for me anyway.
Yeah, I thought Kevin Spacey did decent.
Yeah, he wasn't bad. I mean, that's the one he's okay. He's not the one that I grew up with. Like,
Gene Hackman.
Yeah, I see him as Lex because that's just who I originally saw as Lex. But there's been some good ones.
Well, Michael, I see you.
I don't want to fight you, so I'm not gonna argue.
I was a big fan of Smallville, and you got to see a development in his, this Lex that we know in the future. We got to see where that came from and how it built up. I really enjoyed the way they depicted that and the way he played it. I thought it was cool. It was weird that they were all friends, at one point. That kind of pulled me out, but still, it was a fantastic show. Somebody say. But that will bring us to my favorite segment, and yours, hopefully, trailers. Do you want to go first or me, sir?
Totally.
I'll go ahead and go first.
Go get him.
So this one's a little weird and off the beaten path for me.
Sounds good to me already.
But so is this episode, because us is weird and off the beaten path. So Mary Magdalene. We all know her. We all have heard her name. She sits in the side of Jesus Christ. There's a movie being made about her called Mary Magdalene. And guess who's playing Jesus in this?
Who's playing Jesus?
Mr. Joaquin Phoenix.
Okay.
Now, what makes this movie stand out to me is Jesus is not the focus. And I know a lot of jaws just dropped. I've been condemned to hell. But that is what makes this movie interesting to me, because it's all about her point of view of what's going on with Jesus and how he affected her life. It's extremely interesting looking, very well shot, very darkly shot. But yeah, it just looks interesting the way that she's being told by the other apostles, that she doesn't belong here, and if she is going to stay, she needs to marry him, because he's Jesus and he can't just be fornicating with just anyone, But yeah, so I just enjoy the fact that it's from her point of view, and it looks very cool.
Okay. There's a lot of crap like racing through my mind that I'm not going to say.
No, please.
I don't want us to get murdered later.
Okay.
So I'm just going to pass.
Fine. The Da Vinci Code kind of covers some of it, because she's what the thing is hidden, because apparently she had his child, and that lineage has been passed down throughout the years in the Da Vinci Code. I'm going to shut up because I don't want to piss people off.
Yeah, it's a touchy subject. Anywho, I have a couple for you. First one is Lucy in the Sky.
Oh,
It's got Natalie Portman. I don't know if you watched this one or not.
Mm-hmm.
It looks a little. At first, when I saw it, when it first started, I'm like, "Oh, is this based off of something, true or whatever?" Because it kind of has that look to it,
Yes.
But then it starts to get into it, and you're like, "Okay, this doesn't look like it's based on something real, but it might be. I don't know. I don't want to put my foot in my mouth." But it's just basically a woman astronaut goes off into space. Sounds fairly normal, and then she comes back and she starts stripping balls, basically, and that's basically the trailer. I don't have to say anything else. It looks super interesting. Like I don't know. She almost seems like she's high the whole time, and then like she's kind of in that like turned inward, and then somebody says something and she comes out and she's like, oh hi, like it's just normal for a second, but it just seems really, really like it's gonna go out there for a second, and I obviously like that. So whenever I see a trailer with that kind of stuff in it, I jump on it.
Yeah.
And my second one is a little different, kind of, but not really. It's called The Unicorn Store. It's got Brie Larson's in it. We just saw her recently in a Marvel movie. I think she directs.
I think it's okay. Yeah.
I think she directs this one as well as stars in it. I can't remember, but
I think you're right.
She basically she's going through life, isn't satisfied, feels like a failure, is trying really hard. Her parents probably think she's crazy. She's just struggling, and then she gets this mysterious letter, and it's like, come to this store and whatever, and it'll make all your dreams come true or something like that. And so she shows up, and the guy, and it's Samuel L. Jackson, surprisingly, he's in there, and he's like, what do you want? And she's like, I always wanted a unicorn. And he's like, well, I'm going to make that happen. So that's what the movie's about. It's about a girl or a woman getting a unicorn, which sounds ridiculous, but I think it's going to be a standout kind of feel good. If you don't feel like you belong, this movie will.
Swiss Army Man-ish.
Yes, very much so. So I think this one will be good for that group of people, and it just looks out of
for that group.
For that group of people. It looks outside of my box a little bit, but at the same time, I'm in that box, so I'm it kind of attracts me. So even though it's not my normal movie that I would run to the theaters and see, it does look cool.
Yeah. I agree. I thought that when it stuck in my head for a while.
And it's something fun. Everything's so dark and weird and crazy, and politics is in everybody's face, and there's people dying and gun battles all over the world, and nobody wants to do anything about it. So let's just watch a stupid fun movie that makes you feel good.
Exactly. I like that. And now, joining us, great. Oh, so happy to announce I've already announced. See, look at me. I'm getting all flustered here. Mr. Michael Rosenbaum, sir, your trailer.
What's going on, Kelvin? How are you? Michael Rosenbaum here. You guys talk about trailers. That's the thing. I watch so many trailers, and let's be honest, man, most of the movies aren't that great. You see this great trailer, a must-see, Sundance selection. You get all these selections. And I figured out that when it says select, it's not like they won all these awards, because I did this with my short, but it's like they were just in the festival. So they could have been one of 100 movies that are in a festival, but they didn't win it. So it's like all those little, you know what I'm talking about? Anyway, it just gets a little frustrating. But the trailer that that was enticing for me to watch the movie was this movie Border, and it's about this woman. She looks like she might have a chromosomal thing going on. She even talks about it in the trailer. The makeup is extraordinary. I think Academy Award for best makeup and hairstyling. Ridiculous. Anyway, she has this customs officer, Tina, has this extraordinary sense of smell, and she can sniff out the guilt on anyone hiding something. And she meets this guy, Vor, and he kind of looks like her in a way. It's just this odd, dark, romantic love story. It's compelling. It's Swedish. This foreign film. I don't know. I'm gonna watch it. I hope it's good. Go watch a movie. Hey, and thanks for being a Lex fan. I appreciate that, man. Thanks for watching Smallville. Jeez, that was long. Sorry, Kelvin.
Thank you, sir, so much. That's awesome. We really appreciate you doing this. I can't even say. I wish you would have quoted Lex. Just yell at me in his voice or something. But yeah. So thank you so much, Michael Rosenbaum, for doing that. It's fantastic that you did that. But that will bring us to us.
Us?
That will bring us to us.
Us.
We were so us. Directed, written, produced by Jordan Peele, accompanied by her husband, son, and daughter. What's her name? Adeline Wilson returns to the beachfront home where she grew up as a child, haunted by a traumatic experience from the past. She grows increasingly concerned that something bad is going to happen. Her worst fears soon become reality when four masked strangers, that's not right, when four strangers descend upon the house, forcing the Wilsons into a fight for survival. When the masks come off, the family is horrified to learn that each attacker takes the appearance of one of them. I did not write that, but somebody apparently thought everybody in that family were wearing masks. They were not. But yes, Us. This came out here March 22nd, last Friday or Thursday, if you want to count it. Woo! This movie is doing gangbusters. 70+ million its first week. Amazing for a sophomore film by a new director. We all saw Get Out. I think this takes Get Out, tosses it out a window, goes outside, stumps on it a few times, and comes back in and sits down and watches itself while it eats popcorn. This movie, I think it overshadows Get Out big time. Yeah, and I liked Get Out. I liked Get Out a lot. I thought it was different. I thought it stood out. I thought that perfectly did what it wanted to do. But this, buddy, I got to tell you, the way Us, not it, it's a different movie with a clown. The way Us did, it gave you a horror movie, but also gave you a movie that, if you wanted to, you could look and see this deeper meaning that he has, and he has a way of writing that, doing that in his writing. That's amazing. It blows me away that he's that clever to do that. But I'm gushing here. What are your first takes, sir?
Well, first, unfortunately, I'm going to disagree with you.
God.
I think Get Out is the superior movie.
What?
I think Us is damn good, and you're right, it's an amazing second effort. It's an awesome movie. I'm highly recommending it, but I think Get Out is a superior movie. I think I connect to that one socially more so than I do Us.
Gotcha.
And there's the other minor reasons, but I just think that's the superior movie. I think Us is really good. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot going on. I mean, everything in it is so broad.
Yes.
And so huge that I think it's hard to really focus in on a thing that's relatable. And I think Get Out has more things that it condenses it down to the point where you can really relate to that. but this one is like on just a massive level. I think it's harder to do.
I think it's us every day. Literally, what us was depicting. It's everyone what we do every day.
But like it's like about the entire basically they say American, so it's about just us. But it's so vast. It's so ambitious. So ambitious. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's just so ambitious. And it speaks to such a large group of people. I find it hard, like maybe just because I like Get Out better, I don't know, maybe I'm being biased, but I just feel like that one is more focused. And so because the story is more focused and this one's so much grander that it might be harder for some people to get into it.
Ooh, I don't know. Like I could, it made me, when I walked out of that theater,
I immediately wanted to buy a red jumpsuit and a pair of scissors for Halloween. That's what I wanted to do. But yeah, go ahead.
But I looked around and I saw, happy children getting in their cars. I saw big expensive cars driving by. Then as I drove down the road, I saw, that homeless man on the side of the road. I saw, look down a little further down the road, you see the bad side of town, quote unquote, bad side of town. And all of it just hit me like that's what it was depicted, like that night and day, or what we perceive as a night and day, like we will look at something and instantly judge it because of where it is or what it's wearing, and what, that whole aspect just kind of hit me to the core. And you go in for a horror movie, but you get, freaking so much more.
Yeah, you do get a whole lot more. The only thing about that comment is it was hard, like, because when people finally realize that there is this underclass, if you want to call it that, these underdwellers, it's too late. There's no I look down on you, because they were never given a chance to look down on the other ones.
But they always have, is the thing. Like, it's not those specific people.
Yeah, not those specific people.
Yeah.
Very true. They always have looked down on people, but just not the specific people. So when all of a sudden which I think may have been half of the point, is like the people on top don't really even notice the people on the bottom.
Yeah.
It's like you said, you drove down the street and you saw the homeless guy, you noticed him, you recognize that existed. I think people on the top at some point, at some times, don't recognize that there's this underclass. So then all of a sudden, for them to just all of a sudden break in, everybody's dead. It was like it was too late for them to even respond to it. It was like, because you should have recognized this, you didn't.
We've been here this whole time, and but like, it's like members of a community, the plot that this, I think that what is trying to drive home, that like, that members of a community or of a city or of a country can succeed if they're given the opportunity, because of, and I say that only because of the main character. Like, she was, and go ahead, if you haven't seen this, please stop and go watch it and come back and listen, because I don't want to spoil this for you, but I do want to talk about it. So it will be spoiled.
Yes. I will say this much, for what they showed us in the trailer. They did a superb job of hiding what was actually going to happen in the movie.
Yes.
Because I was totally focused in on just the family, those four doppelgangers. And so they did an amazing job of keeping that a secret and not revealing all that in the trailer, and still...
And keeping it, like, in this day and age, keeping that hush-hush.
Yeah, and still making us want to go to see the movie, because that was enough to make us want to go see the movie. And then yet, when we go to see the movie, we get so much more. So it's like, well, holy crap. Well, thank you for not ruining the trailer. So we get so much more than what was originally shown.
And that's why we say trailers are so important, people. But yeah, like, let's start with the family, I guess, or go back to the family, because we've already started. So all of them did a fantastic job doing dual roles. Holy cow, blown away. I have only one critique for this movie. And it's the leading up to the family getting to like the car ride, I guess, to the place. That conversation seemed very forced and abnormal.
Like to the original vacation home?
Yes.
Okay.
But then, like, it started to get better once they got there and started interacting and that sort of thing. But yeah, that conversation, just like the whole what they showed in the trailer. Hey, groove to the music, and this is how you do it. I don't know.
It didn't bother me so much. That kind of what started me to like the family is like their interactions. It seemed like a cool family. Seemed like decent people. I mean, nobody really seemed like a jerk or, cause you know how there's so many movies where everybody seems like a jerk or there's somebody you just really don't like. I didn't get that from this.
Like the other family.
Movie. Like everybody, like definitely them.
Yeah.
Like this family is like, you were like, oh, this is a good family. I like these guys.
See,
So
I felt that when they got to the house. So I just was like, man, this is a little awkward. Cause like, I don't know. Maybe I don't interact with my family enough, so I don't know how families work. But
I think parents nowadays interacting with their kids probably is awkward because kids have come up so much faster now, so there's not as much like you can impress them with your knowledge, because they already know everything you already know from social media,
if not more,
and TV. Yeah, so it's like it's harder. Probably things probably seem weirder. It's like being like having the same knowledge, but just being like the maturity levels are different.
Yeah, I can see that. But I think every single one of them, standalone or together, did an amazing job. The girl ran a little awkward, but she was fantastic, especially her doppelganger.
Yeah, I liked it. I liked how the doppelganger ran.
That smile that she always had, that creepy little smile. Holy cow. And then when you get to the end, all of their interactions and actions make so much sense. I don't know if that all clicked with you, but like, where do I start? When they go to the beach, even before the doppelgangers show up, the wife, she is having the conversation with her friend, quote unquote friend, I guess, who they've apparently known for a while. She's like, I don't talk much, and it makes so much sense. Why?
That scene made me. Go ahead.
I'm just saying how that makes perfect sense once you get to the end,
That scene made me upset. Whoa. This is why. Because it took me out of the movie a little bit. I'm like, wait a second. She's been, I don't like, not to ruin the plot or whatever, but she's been around for a while.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, and she knows this person already. And then all of a sudden, she's like, yeah, I'm not good at talking to people. Like, she should already know this if you've known this person for a long period of time. This isn't some big reveal.
That kind of.
That seemed weird. It was like the first, is that the first time you met her? Or have you known her?
A new wife?
Because she seems to know you pretty well, and you guys have known each other since, like around, not necessarily when they had their kids, but
the kids all know each other and are playing.
Yeah, so it just seems like it's weird for her to say that. Like, I don't talk well. Like, duh. I mean,
maybe
why would you say that to somebody you're already...
Yeah, maybe she should have phrased that differently. Like, you know what? You kind of remember that I don't really conversate well or something like that.
Yeah, but the lady was like, she knew something was up, though, because she's like, really, are you okay? Because she knows her well enough that she's talked to her before to know that, how she is.
Yeah, doesn't quite match.
That to me was weird. It didn't really connect for me.
Damn,
I was looking a little too deep into it because I was trying to.
No, but you're bursting bubbles into my stuff.
I was trying to just decipher the heck out of this thing, and I did figure out a couple of things, but still, the ending was, most of the ending was a surprise. But yeah, I was really trying to look into some of the character development in this because I love the characters, so it just seemed weird.
Yeah.
That scene popped out to me because I'm like, wait a second, but you guys have known each other for a while. Why would you all of a sudden say, you're not good at talking to people? You should know that or not know that.
The father I loved because as much like he broke, being a large African American fellow. I mean, I'm not tall, but I'm stocky. It makes me feel good to see not the stereotypical, what is normally portrayed for Black people. And because I think he did it so well. Like he went out and he tried to you guys want to get crazy, we can get crazy, but that instantly didn't work, and he reverted to his, because he seems to be kind of living in his friend's shadow. Like he wants to get to where his friend's at. He wants to kind of have that, that I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. He wants to present himself that way, but can't quite reach that status, it seems. But yeah, I think he portrayed that role. He did that so well. Like and then his doppelganger, it's like night and fucking day. Like,
yeah, very much a brute.
Yeah, and he even seems
the way
it sounds.
I'm glad that it wasn't just about that family, because it lessens, because him making those gorilla sounds for a black guy, it's almost kind of insulting. But then it's everybody, not just them. So then I was like, okay, it's okay then.
All but one.
Yes, but did you figure that out? Because I figured it out way before they revealed it.
That they were. We're going to get into spoiler area here.
We've been in spoiler area for quite some time. We skipped over the main opening here. Our main character, the mom, when she's a kid, goes to the beach and gets lost in a hall of mirrors, and she sees herself, but not in the mirrors, an actual version of herself. And then we're led to believe that it scared her so much that she didn't talk for years or whatever. Turns out she needed to learn to talk, because I guess going back even further, the first thing you see of this movie is there's millions of tunnels under the U.S. Some go unused, some are for subways, blah, blah, blah. Some we don't know what they're used for. Some are filled with bunnies.
Some fucking rabbits. Turns out somebody, maybe the government, I don't know, somebody has been making what they call tethers of us. And they were meant to be used to control us, but it didn't work. In fact, it did the opposite. We control them. And yeah.
I think they do lightly imply that it was the government, because the daughter says that line in the movie where she's like, the government puts fluoride in our water to control us and blah, blah, blah.
Yes. But yeah, turns out the little one got switched. But we don't find this out until the very end. That's why I said stop and watch, because that's a major spoiler. But the little one got switched at the very end. I did not decipher that until she was going down into the funhouse, because she knew exactly how to get down there. But yeah, before the major spoiler at the end. But yeah, did that lessen it for you?
No, not at all. Just because I slightly figured out part of it didn't lessen it. It was still a pretty great movie. When you watch a movie like that, it just seemed obvious, because they didn't really touch on it. And because they didn't touch on it, and it just seemed odd that she would just like run away and be scared.
Event, yeah.
It just seemed like, wait a second, I bet you they switched places.
But yeah, and I love the way she portrayed that she probably didn't talk down there, because it would be odd to talk around them, because none of them, the tethers, can talk.
Yeah, none of them talked.
Yeah, grunts and squeals and shit like that. But she had this very raspy voice, because she didn't use it often, which was
I think the girl's raspy voice actually came. I think it was explained that she was, when the girl switched places, she grabs her by the throat and does some damage, and then that plus not being able to, not using it, it was a combination of those two things.
So I thought that was like brilliant writing right there. Just fantastic. And gotta tell you, that family's fucking lucky, because as Robert stated earlier briefly, no one else gets a chance.
Nope.
When these fucking tethers come up, They're here to make a statement.
Yes, they are, and there's obvious reason was because the one that came up for that family was a real upsider or whatever you want to call them. So she wanted to savor the moment and really rub it in the other people's face.
Because you have to think how brutal that is for her.
Mm-hmm.
Like now all of a sudden you go from your life that you knew, granted you didn't know it long, but you're down here with fucking freaks and weirdos and look at me, I'm doing exactly what the movie trying to teach me not to do. But, but the seedy underbelly of the world, literally, and just think of how deep this. I'm going to try not to get too graphic here, but she says at one point, "You fell in love with your partner. He became mine." You know, he like so. And the tethers mimic what their counterparts are doing. So imagine here, you know what you see what I'm getting at without me saying too much. This lady falls in love with her large fellow, whereas she now has to. It has to be horrible for her, and then all of a sudden she's pregnant and. Oh my gosh. And the way she described her children, the first one, that creepy little girl who did an amazing job, she came out laughing. And the smile never left her face. And I love the way she moved. She just darts around without a sound. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, I'm gushing too much. What are your takes on the family and everything? Go on. I'm going to sit back for a
Like, I love the family. I thought they just seemed like, it almost seems like somebody you want to be a part of their family. Yeah. Like that's how like attractive that family was to me. And then like everybody was just great to me. And then the doppelgangers is what really impressed me about by seeing the opposite, like almost the opposites of them. Is what really made me appreciate, I guess, the originals, because you see all these the creepy ones are just like seeing a darker version of yourself is just nightmarish, which is part of the thrill of the movie, I guess. Yep. And then everybody has one, and it's so great to see that level of creativity put in something, and then we see it here and there, but this is just on such a grand scale. I feel that it's hard to compare to another movie.
It is. So
I loved Pluto. There are some theory. I don't know if you know. There's some hidden theories about Pluto.
The boy?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually I have one written down, but go ahead, sir.
But no, you can tackle it later. But
okay.
just his behavior, the doppelganger's behavior seems so animalistic to me.
Very.
You know, that doesn't seem like something that somebody, like if somebody had just been taken a year ago, that's not how they would end up. No. So I disagree with some of the theories that are going around.
Me too.
But I feel like he's legit he's legit the doppelganger. He just seems like just a beast. Like it's in a kid, like a kid and a beast at the same time. The daughter. Go ahead.
What makes that one stand out? He wouldn't be able to talk that easily, you know, but like there are some like things that kind of like the two twin girls. Your brother's weird, you know, and he's building where most kids would build sandcastles. He's building tunnels.
I dug holes when I was a kid. I don't know how that's weird.
And then the fact he knew how to defeat his towards the end.
He knew because when he was in the closet, he realized when he would make a motion, he would.
You're right.
That's when that happened. I think that theory is does have.
Loose. Yeah.
The theory is basically like a year before or something that the boy had gotten stolen and switched as well, just like the mother did when she was a girl. It seemed plausible to a point, but I think there's too many things that debunk it for me anyway.
Yeah, unless she was down there teaching the doppelganger how to talk and stuff the entire time.
Which she could have done that with. She could have done that with everybody though, not just that kid. So it seems unlikely that she would just do it with one person. Why would she just do it with one person and then not everybody? She was the only one with a voice, which is why they all followed her, is because she was the only one that was different. Yep. So I don't know. I mean, I think that's it's sound in a way. It's kind of a cool, you know, fan theory. Yeah. But I don't think it has any truth to it. I think it's incorrect.
Yes. Yeah. It's very cool to think about though. That whole underworld, like I try and put myself in her shoes, like I do with most movies, and it terrifies me at first. But it also like like Jesus, man. Like, can you imagine knowing what's up there, yet like have it like I don't know why didn't she leave sooner? Because she didn't have to stay down there. I know at first they chained her up, but clearly at some point they let her go.
It's hard to climb to the top when you're already at the bottom. It's not an easy thing to do, and I think that was also a social message.
And she came up with that plan as well. So she wanted to execute that, but you're right. It is hard to get.
She's like Neo from the Matrix. Every once in a while, there's going to be an anomaly that can break free from the rest of people.
Yes,
and she was that anomaly.
Oh man, amazing stuff here. Any high points you want to touch on? I mean, most of it's high points.
Oh, it's so good from the beginning to the end. Just even the car ride at the beginning was great for me. Even though I know it rubbed you the wrong way a little bit, it was still good. It got me into the family. Yes. I love meeting the other family because they just seem kind of like almost like goofy comic relief. The twins were funny, but still, I mean, I appreciated them.
So the other family's dad, doppelganger, was hilarious.
Yes, he was crazy. I liked when the doppelgangers first showed up because I love the scene with the dad trying to be,
yes,
protective, but then he runs back inside with the bat anyways. So it's still like, what? I love how they. I loved how they got in the house.
Yes,
which was just insane. I love the switch when they go from this isn't just about this family. This is about everybody.
Yeah, this is worldwide.
So I love that because you kind of once it starts, you kind of see it coming, but not before that. You're like, oh, this is another twist. This is great. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I kind of figured out part of it, but I still was super appreciative of the whole underground thing. I remember reading that thing at the beginning of it when they're talking about all the tunnels, and I was trying to connect it with the rest of the movie. Like, why did they mention that about the tunnels?
Same here. The whole time it was at the back of my head.
Yeah, but I mean, there it was. I mean, finally you get it. So you're like, okay, that makes sense now. Yeah. The very beginning of the movie when the little girl is watching TV before she disappears at the beach.
Hands Across America?
Yep, Hands Across America. That made a lot of sense finally at the end, but I like that at the very beginning, so you're thinking about it slightly. You kind of forget it.
Any reading up on Hands Across America after that? Or did you know anything about it?
I remember it, but I just don't. I didn't participate in it, obviously, but I don't like.
Apparently it failed miserably.
Mm-hmm.
And it was supposed to make like $100 million or something like that, and it only made like 15. But
it was still a cool idea, and it did bring people together. So in that respect, it was a success, even though it failed its purpose. Trying isn't failing, in my book anyway. Oh, no, but I also liked when they zoomed in on the TV because there's all these movies, and it was cool to see those movies. One of them was Goonies. I don't know if you noticed.
Yes.
Another one was Chud. I think there was a couple others. I can't remember what they all were, but those would kind of give you hints at what's going to happen in the movie, which was kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. But I wanted to touch on Hands Across America as well, because I think that was another thing that he was trying to convey, like where you guys failed. The people you look down upon have succeeded, with their Hands Across America. Mm-hmm. But
and the little girl wouldn't never have known that it succeeded or didn't succeed.
That's true.
That was just her plan because she was wearing that shirt, so it was always stuck in her head. So, and I don't know how much of their plan actually succeeded. They did end up killing a whole lot of people and then holding hands at the end of the movie.
Going across America.
There is still the rest of the world. I mean, they didn't have a plan after that. Their plan was just to do that and then hold hands. So, but it was supposed to be because there was a religious thing that was written on a piece of cardboard that a homeless man.
11:11. Jeremiah 11:11.
Which is all about I guess the rapture, at the end of the.
I can read it for you.
Go right ahead, get it.
Behold, I will bring evil upon them, which they shall not be able to escape. And though they shall cry unto me, I will not hearken unto them. Yeah, Jeremiah 11:11.
That reminded me so much of Rorschach for some reason, because at the beginning, I don't know if you're in The Watchmen, he's like, all the people will scream up for help, and I'll whisper back no.
Yeah.
That just totally reminded me of that. But yeah, I that was great to see that and kind of realize the grander picture of what was happening. Mm-hmm. It wasn't just about these guys revolting. There was a bigger picture,
And the symbolism of that, of the number 11. Mm-hmm. You can't have one without the other. It's all over the place. There's a mirror version. Yeah, there's a mirror. Yeah, can't have one without the other. That's darkness from the movie Legend. So it's just all kinds of good stuff. Yeah. I mean,
The movie's great. I mean, it's a good horror movie, and we're not getting. I don't want to say we're not getting enough of them, because we do get maybe one or two a year that are really, really amazing, and then the rest of them kind of fall short because they just try to use cheap scares and imagery, but without really being thoughtful and thinking and putting social commentary into the movie. And this one obviously does. So I just think it rises above all those other ones. It's on a whole nother level. It's just a sophomore film, so that's crazy to me that this comedian, basically what I always knew as a comedian,
yes, very funny,
is this great horror storyteller. Hidden
down inside of him is this. Yeah,
they say there's a lot of darkness in comedy.
Yes. Man, I could go on for hours about this, but I will not do that to you guys. I'll get into some numbers here. Budget of $20 million for this film, and it has already opening weekend done $70 million plus. Crazy, and it's one of the highest horror film openings of all time. Let's go to our old Rotten Tomatoes to see how this movie's doing.
It was at 100%, but it has since fallen.
Yes, 94% tomato meter, which is amazing. Only 71 audience score. I don't know what the rest of those people are smoking, but
they should have put 5 on it. That's all I can tell you.
Oh man, so 100% go watch from me.
Absolutely, me too. 100%. It is a great movie.
Yeah, it's fun. Would you even say horror?
Yeah, I would throw horror in there.
Horror?
There's
horror
some horror.
Thriller?
Horror. I mean, it's more than just a horror movie.
Yeah,
definitely. But it does
have. Stick with some sci-fi with the clones.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a clone in
there. I had the clone too. Jordan Peele copied me. Sorry, go ahead.
There is sci-fi and Get Out too. So
yes.
I mean, so yeah, you're gonna have a little sci-fi. I mean, sci-fi is horror. Horror is sci-fi to me. Sure. They're together.
And Alien. Sorry, the first one. But yeah, that is us.
Do you not want a red jump shoe and a pair of scissors and a little glove?
Already on order from Amazon, my friend. Someone did ask him about doing a sequel. He said the Us Verse has a good ring to it. And he apparently has written out an entire universe for it because he wanted to be prepared for any questions that were asked to him. Mm-hmm. And so he didn't quite shoot down the idea. He didn't quite, say,
I like it as a standalone piece.
Yeah.
The ending's kind of a little bit ambiguous. You don't know, what's going to happen. I don't like it when all the blanks are filled in.
Because like you said, what the fuck are they going to do next?
Yeah, because they're playing with just a holding hands. That's all they were doing at the end.
And I love that they start holding hands with the first family. The first, the main character, the doppelganger, they're literally starting the hands across America. But yeah, and then now their fearless leader is gone. So I don't know. Yeah, but that's us. That's not us because we're gonna watch a movie, but that's us, the movie. Where you can find us, ladies and gentlemen, you can find us at gowatchmovie.com. Has all the stories I mentioned today. I'm going to try and get all the trailers up there. And the podcast can be found on there. But the podcast can also be found anywhere you can get a podcast. Anything else, sir?
I think we covered it.
Do you want to say once again a huge thank you to Michael Rosenbaum for taking the time out to come hang with little us down at the bottom. See, he noticed little us.
I know.
And you know what? As a matter of fact, I'm going to let him take us on out of here. I'm Kelvin.
I'm Robert.
Michael Rosenbaum here. Go watch a movie.